All right, everyone, we are live. Welcome if you're tuning in live. And also, if you're going to join us later on the restream, thank you for joining us once again. Today is April 12th, 2019, on a Friday, and we got a very special show for you guys today. Today, we got Ryan of Lineage Premier, Dog Food and Diet Services. He's going to join us tonight to share his story of how he came into the game and like what prompted him to start his business. And yeah, I'll pass it off to Ryan now and he can introduce himself.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, like you were saying, my name is Ryan Cole. Represent the company Lineage Premier, which is basically raw dog food education and food services. Just a quick background on how I got started. I've been rescuing dogs now for a little bit, a little under 10 years, and my very first dog I rescued, I've kept Pops, and just throughout his life, ever since the day I've got him, he's been very, very allergic to any type of processed food. So not just kibble, but even processed treats and stuff like that. So just being a dog owner, you do what your vet tells you to do. So I did all the medicated ointments, all the the different types of foods, the no grain. I pretty much tried everything and anything that a vet told me. And then I decided to do some of my own research and realizing that most processed foods that can happen in dogs who have allergies and whatnot, they could be allergic to it. So long story short, decided to try out raw food. This is about 7 years ago. uh, my oldest dog, he took to it very quickly, which I was assuming he would, but I was more focused on how his body would take to it, and the weight dropped off of him. He lost a lot of weight, a lot of fat. He leaned out very quickly, gained a lot of energy. He still looks better than a lot of the dogs. They can't believe when I tell them he's almost 10 years old. So that led me into knowing that raw food was the way to go. The business aspect came when I was, I would just get, pokes here and there from friends to telling me that I should turn it into something to, kind of make some income out of it because, I'm such an advocate of it, and that people who create income from themselves should do the things that they do day in and day out that they love. So, I took some advice from a good friend, and that's how we got this business started. So the basis of it is education, but we also will help with the food services. We just started a line of biscuits as well. So that's our newest endeavor that we're leaping into. Got some photo shoots coming up, some more episodes coming out. Lineagepremier.com is our website, Facebook and Instagram of the same name, so you can check us out. Any questions you have, just shoot it to us. We get it back very quickly. I keep my phone on me at all times, so any messages you guys have, I'm very quickly at returning those. And just wanted to really quickly show you all my dogs, the ones that started it all for us. So the white one there is Pops. Sheba is that Brindle one. Yeah, Pops heard his name. And Lulu is my puppy right there. So, a lot of folks who have dog food companies, I want to make sure that people see this. A lot of folks who do things with dogs don't actually own dogs themselves. So these dogs are a part of my life every day. Everything I do involves them. So that's just a basic overview of me. Why I started this, where I came from, in terms of the business, and why I felt like that demand needs to be met. A lot of folks are going through the same issues, especially with pit bulls or dogs who have very, very particular, skin problems and things like that with their fur being so short. It's just that a lot of folks they need that alternative. Some people just don't know, or they just flat out haven't researched enough and know that the dogs can eat raw foods, and that's what they naturally would eat in the wild. They would eat prey. Just like with us humans, we naturally used to eat vegetables and whatnot, and we know that. We know that vegetables are best for us. Just like if people research about dogs, they would know that meat is the best for them. It's the most natural form. They need meat, protein. Even nowadays, I see in the bags of kibble that you see that it says something like all the chicken and fish that your dogs need. But in reality, you could just feed your dog the chicken and fish. To me that's to me the natural way is the best way to go. So I'm always gonna be an advocate for it. So that's how this business came through. So yeah, if you have any questions, please shoot. Go ahead.
Awesome, awesome. Great intro. So kind of take it back to, can you say now you rescue a lot of dogs now, and it
Mhm.
goes back to back in the day to your first dog you rescued. So after that initial experience with the first dog you took in, so like what about that experience like drew you in even more and made you like want to do it like not just one time but
Yeah,
as like a
what kind of led
lifestyle.
me into rescue life? It's
Yeah.
actually a funny story. I grew up scared of dogs, and my father was a big proponent of pit bulls. That was his favorite dog. And since me and my brother were scared of dogs, he knew he would never get one. And he always said if he got a dog, it would be a pit bull. And that just so happened to be the breed I was the most scared of. So in 2009, 10 years ago, 10 years ago in 2 days actually, that's when my father had passed away. So as a kind of a tribute to him, me and my brother decided to get a pit bull and name him Pops after my father. So that was really the first event that kind of led me into the rescuing. Once I got Pops, obviously my fear went away. I fell in love with dogs. Fell in love particularly with dogs, with rescue dogs because it seemed like though that was the more of a need, So started off with him. Maybe a year and a half later, we get another one. We get a foster, and then here we are 10 years later. I probably have kept between me and my brother probably kept 8 dogs. Probably fostered somewhere between 25 between the two of us. Um, like I said, it started with pops with him being with that tribute to my father, and that's kind of how that's what led me personally to getting over my fear of dogs, and then once you get into it, it's just instantly became a lover. So I credit my father's death ironically with my love for rescuing.
Okay, I see. That's very, very interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
So can you kind of take us like deeper into, so I mean you mentioned earlier how I think it was your first dog had a lot of allergies to different foods. So can you take us
Yeah.
deeper into how you transition from I guess I'm not a dog expert, like how you
Yeah.
transition from
Transition
how
from kibble to raw food.
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked that question. That's a very good question. The first thing I would tell people, or the first thing I would ask people, is the age of their canine because that's very important in terms of how quickly you're gonna make that transition. So if you have a puppy, their body's not fully developed. Their digestive system definitely isn't fully developed. So if you have a dog that you've been feeding kibble and you want to make that transition to raw and it's a puppy, very young, you want to make that transition very, very slow. And what I do is I call it the thumb rule, right? So you take your dog's bowl and you fill it up normally how you would with kibble. And then what you want to do is you want to each day slowly replace some of that kibble with a thumb worth of food. So it doesn't matter any thumb size, that is just a rule of thumb. To
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just something for somebody for something for people to easily follow. So just replace it little by little. But once your dog's over a year, about a year, maybe a year and a half, and is matured and his digestive system is sort of fully developed, and I say you can go ahead and make that transition immediately. So when it comes to there's so many different factors when it comes to it. So I'll just give you a basic rundown of how I would you know advise a person a client of what to do in terms of making that transition. So like I said, if a dog's a puppy versus a grown dog, that's a very important thing. The weight of the dog as well. Your dog shouldn't be eating more than 3% of his body weight. Also, your dog after a year old should not be eating more than once a day. Most dogs, the way that they eat, they gorge themselves for one meal because they're constantly on the move. They don't have time to, do eat little here by there. They mostly, if they are gonna snack, it's gonna be on wild grasses and fruits and vegetables. But their meals, they try to gorge themselves and eat the entire meal. The entire animal in one bite, in one sitting. So So when it comes to when they're a year old, you want to be able to control their weight too. And the reason why I'm a big advocate for feeding once after a year old is that, for number one, like I said, it's very good weight control, but it makes it a lot easier for you to be consistent in your routine. A lot of people want to feed their dogs multiple times a day, but you got to realize that if you're switching those times throughout the day, it throws off your dog's regularity. So that can also lead to weight gain and whatnot as well. So basically, so you got to think about the weight of your dog. You have to think about the age of your dog, and you also have to know specifically about what your dog does and doesn't like. In particular, I can give you an example. My oldest dog, Pops, he does not like fish. So when it comes to like the fatty acids, the omega oils, stuff like that, I have to give him that through supplemental fish oil pills. My other dogs love it, for example. And like just with him, he loves organ meat. They don't like certain organ meat. So you just have to know the particulars of your dog. So that's why you can see that my position here is more of an education standpoint, because it's all about getting the most information we can on your canine and trying to create that formula for you. So just that would be a quick example of certain things that I would do and ask, just to help people understand that this is the reason and why I'm telling you to do this, this, and this. Not just to make it seem like I'm just telling them, that there's one way to fix all problems. There isn't. So the more information we can get on their canine, the better. Allergies to other things, because certain dogs can't eat chicken. I have a client who dog doesn't like chicken. He only likes beef, really. Some fish, stuff like that. So, and you got to know which cuts of meat. Some dogs can't handle an entire, excuse me, some dogs can't handle an entire drumstick. Sometimes you may have to do a leg quarter where certain dogs are too large and they think they try to eat a drumstick too quickly or a thigh too quickly. So you make a bigger cut of meat so they have to nibble on it. So it's little particulars like that. That I would ask my clients, and stuff like that. So the most information I can get, the better.
Awesome, awesome. Cool, cool. So, can you describe to the audience more about your products? And I mean, I know you do custom diet plans, but
Yeah, for sure.
can you
Yeah, I
dive more
buy
into the
actual products.
products?
Of course. Right now, our newest product is our biscuits. We have a chef who does everything in house. She even mills the spelt flour in house, and it's right now those are really taking off, and it's kind of interesting because a lot of folks they buy them because they think they're treats, which they are. I mean, they are cooked biscuits, but everything that's in them is all natural. So I mean, even in terms of our sweet ones that have the organic peanut butter puree in them, those right there, people, they hear that and they get excited. But I get excited knowing that it's all natural. There's nothing that's gonna be bad for your dog in there. So we have those biscuits going out right now. We call those alpha biscuits, and we also have betas as well. Just different formulas. One I think the main difference, one has ginger and organic puree peanut butter in there, and the other one has I believe rolled oats. So I basically just try to find as many all natural products that I can put into a treat that I personally test all of them with my dogs. So we have 4 personal testers here. So they definitely are fans of them. And then just with the meals themselves, I personally do not put the actual meals on the website because it's hard for me to ship um, the meals outside the Chicagoland area. So if they're in the Chicagoland area, I can absolutely deliver those. But in terms of the treats, I can send those anywhere for anybody. So once again, you can contact me on either Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube and the lineagepremier.com on there, and we can get those hooked up for you. So the 2 products we serve are the food, obviously the raw meals, and then the dog biscuits as well. So next up will probably be clothing. It's the summertime, so we want to get some clothes going. We want to get as much merchandise out there as we can. But right now, we're kind of hunkered down and trying to get folks on the biscuits and on the education side.
Awesome, awesome, cool. So that was very interesting when you mentioned you have like for your raw meals, you have like in-house chef that actually like
Hmm.
prepares all this. Like, I mean, I'm not a
Well,
dog
my
person.
my 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 in-house chef, she prepares the dog biscuits for me.
Oh, okay.
She it's actually an interesting story of how we met. She's actually a coworker or a former coworker of mine, and one day she came to work with a block of cheese, and she was offering it to us. And I'm personally a huge fan of cheese, and she had let me know she made it by herself. Like, I mean, she cold pasteurized it and everything. I was like, really? Wow. I was like, can you can you make treat dog treats from scratch? She's like, if you give me the ingredients, I'll put it together. And ever since then, it's been like a match made in heaven. I mean, I got really lucky in terms of that. So yeah, I try to find, well, not try, I do, I find only raw ingredients, only all natural, nothing that's bad for your dog. Because there are certain things that your dogs can't eat. So you just got to be mindful of that. And I always, like, on my Facebook page, we always post information, recall lists for folks who still feed their dog kibble, because a lot of these companies, they're not required to inform their customers when they have recalls. They're just required to inform certain agencies. So a lot of people are feeding their dogs stuff that's been recalled two, three times already. So stuff like that, you have to, you just have to keep the information side, going. And that's the one thing I can't stress enough, is that we're education first, education last, and education in between.
Okay, I see. That's cool. That's cool. So, speaking of that, um, so would you say like this, like your business, of course, you're into, all natural, healthy dog diet. Is this like a newer concept or has this been around for a while?
No, it's not a newer concept. It's definitely becoming more popular. Raw dog food normally had a negative connotation with dog aggression. And so when you always hear about dog aggression, you're always going to hear about the so-called aggressive breeds, your pit bulls, your Rottweilers, dogs like that. So anytime you have anything associated with aggressive breeds, you're going to have some naysayers. But there was a couple people, for copyright purposes, I won't say their name, but the diet is called the barf diet. And it's a bunch of different diets out there. I mean, it's an industry that's growing, but there's always going to be those companies who, even it's a lot of mainstream companies that you can get. They call it so-called raw foods and stuff, but they're even gently cooked, and stuff like that is just, people are gonna have, different, answers to the problems that people have. But for me personally, I try to keep it as healthy and as fresh as possible. And you can't do that without, making it completely raw. So I mean, it's relatively new in terms of people really wanting to explore it. But the idea and the concept itself has been around as long as we've been domesticating dogs. I mean, any dog in the wild is going to eat meat. So it's not a new concept. It's just one that most dog owners nowadays are just now really educating themselves on.
Ah, okay, I see, I see. So like
Mm.
hearing all this, I'm kind of drawing a parallel. I don't know, this might sound kind of silly, but I kind of see it like for people, like there's, like the all natural diet, ultra healthy diet for like humans, and then on the other side there's, like fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, Popeyes, all
Exactly.
that. So do you feel
Exactly.
like that's the parallel? It mirrors like the dog food industry as well. Do you feel like it's kind of
Absolutely.
it's the same
Absolutely.
thing?
I mean, like I was saying earlier, not only is it parallel, I mean, it directly correlates to humans and how we treat our diets. I mean, we know that vegetables are the best for us humans. We know that. It's just that when we actually care about, our health is when we probably make that transition into eating more vegetables. And for me, I made the transition out of necessity because my dog, physically every day was getting affected by it. So I mean, once you research it, you realize, and it's kind of common knowledge. I mean, when you think about wolves, and we all know dogs and wolves are in the same ancestry. And what do wolves eat? They eat whole prey. I mean, if you see a dog in the wild, I mean, you can look it up. I mean, in reality, personally, you can feed a dog whole prey. I mean, a dog can eat. They will eat the entire animal. foot, beaks, and all, you know. But
Mhm.
obviously, there is our dogs have been domesticated, so you don't necessarily, you have to be very careful, with stuff like that. So I usually that's why I always say get to know your butcher, your local butcher. He'll be your best friend, get you any cut of meat you want, and you know it's gonna be safe. Because the dog food industry is not as regulated as our industry. There's no FDA, there's no USDA. So if you can go to your local butcher and be, just talk to him as much as you can, he'll ease your mind of all those concerns of salmonella poisoning. And that's usually the biggest question I get when it comes to raw diet is, will my dog get sick and salmonella poisoning and all that. So you will literally have to eat an infected piece of meat just like a human would, um, in order to get poisoning. But I've never had an issue like that. I always try to just to educate folks. Like if you know how to prepare a piece of meat, if you know how to buy a clean piece of meat, you'll be fine. And it does wonders for your dogs. I mean, just another quick rundown. Just you know, just I can give you an example. Just of my oldest dog. I mean, excuse me, he was growing spots because he was so itchy and he would get very red. And I mean, after we switched to a raw diet, I mean, he grew spots in areas he didn't have before. I mean, it's good for the skin. They get a nice shiny coat because they're actually absorbing all those natural fatty acids and the proteins and stuff like that. And it's good for the helps them maintain their weight, helps them lean out. They're gonna gain weight, but they're not gonna gain mass. If that makes any sense, they're gonna gain lean muscle. They're gonna be high and tight. You always want your dog to be high and tight is the term I use. You want to be able to see that curve in between their, from their hips into their chest, that little dip there. You want to be able to see it. And when it comes to their body, you want to be able to feel their ribs, but not be able to see them. So those are just a little couple, nuggets there that I try to, look for, and things like that. So I mean, the benefits are obvious, and I have before and afters on my page as well. We have a dog Nala here who she's joined us about maybe I want to say 8 months ago. Man, she was probably close to 90 something pounds, but she probably lost 20 pounds in 2 months, and she has so much more energy and just able to move around so much more. So I mean, like I said, I've been doing it so long where it doesn't surprise me. I get more of the enjoyment in seeing my clients' faces and their reactions.
Awesome, awesome, cool. So, I mean, it sounds a lot like, I mean, of course, us humans, there's like different services people can purchase. Like, someone can customize meals for them. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's really awesome that, your business, like, you do that, for people's dogs. It's like,
yeah, of
that's
course.
crazy. I
Yes,
never thought of
it's
that.
all about. Yeah, it's definitely all about the most information possible we can get for the client and their dog because not everybody's created equal, obviously, and everybody has little quirks here and there. Some people dogs doesn't they don't like certain meals at certain times. It can be something as simple as that. The more information we can get about a canine, the better. And I'm always asking questions, so definitely. And I'm always here whenever people purchase services from me. All questions at any time of the day are all, always available. Even if you just buy a one time purchase, you can always, message me. Even if you don't purchase, you just have a message on one of my YouTube pages, any comments or concerns, anything. I'm always available for questions.
Awesome, awesome. That's what's up. So, like, what would you say, like, out of like all the dog owners, like in the United States, like, how many, like, what percentage do you think of dog owners are actually putting in, that time and effort to feed their dogs, that healthy raw
Um,
diet?
if I had to give it a percentage, that's a good question. I would say, in my I don't know if I can give an exact percentage, but this is how I'll put it. When I first started get feeding my dogs raw to now, so about over these last 7 years or so, I would say that the more people I see feeding raw dogs has probably doubled. So I can't give you an exact percentage, but I will say that the growth that I'm seeing of it is definitely there. In terms of the research, I think it's pretty much the same. When it comes to, I think just consumers in general, they kind of want to have the finished product presented to them, versus educating yourselves, and that's okay. I mean, I do it because I had to out of necessity, and it's provided a a life for me now, and it's provided a way for me to provide a life for myself. So I love doing the legwork, so that's fine. Just because I enjoy it, I don't expect everybody else to. But I will say that people who just try it based off of recommendations have probably doubled. But the education, the research side of it probably remain the same. Because even though I do get more people who are interested in it, I still feel the same amount of questions pretty much.
Oh, okay, I see. That's cool. That's cool. So, kind of shift gears to like the business side of things.
Sure.
So, like when you first started this business, so how did you like build up your client base? Was it mostly through like word of mouth or like in-person networking, or was it a
Yeah,
lot through like
a little bit of
internet?
both. I will say this. I'm lucky in the aspect of when you rescue, you already kind of have a network of people that you can talk to. So, over these 10 years, it was already, folks that it was actually the folks that I've worked with over the years that pushed me into starting this business, folks that I've, interacted with over rescuing. So, the rescue community is real tight knit and very huge. So, there's so many people that I can get in touch with and just being part of different like social groups on Facebook and stuff like that. So most of my clientele have been people who've already known what I've been doing in terms of rescuing. So I'm kind of tapped into that market right now. Like I said, right now I'm all about education. So I'm more so of a come one come all. I'm not trying to necessarily target a certain demographic, or I'm not trying to target any select group. I feel like this information is good for any dog owners, so, any and all dog owners. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it paused for a moment. Okay,
No, it's
good.
no
All
problem.
right. So,
It's no problem at all.
so speaking of education, like with your business, like, do you think one day, like, you'll actually try and teach like in-person classes or like webinar classes? Is that something
That's
you've thought
actually
about?
the that's actually the next step. I've actually just recently made an an effort to get some more speaking engagements. Me personally, I'm not one to really throw myself in front of the camera. I like the day to day, the behind the scenes. That's kind of my spiel and kind of what I enjoy. But I also recognize the importance of making sure that I can reach as many people as I can, and just taking advantage of social media. It's just I love the day to day, but I recognize that it needs to be documented more. So that's kind of and as you can see, I'm making a concerted effort to just to be more visible in it. So yeah, definitely that would be the next step. Speaking engagements, seminars, meet and greets. I can't really ignore the rescue side of the rescue side is really what opened up everything for me. So just trying to get it more visible. Like I said, we're very new. Barely 6 months off the ground. So everything, I'm just trying to do it in baby steps. Throw everything out to the wall, see what sticks, and kind of take it from there.
Awesome, cool. So in terms of, when you spoke about, I mean, these past 10 years, you talked about there's already a tight knit community, in the rescue
Yes,
community, like in your area. So what about like on the internet and like social media and all that? Is there a is there a strong tight presence of dog rescuers online?
absolutely. I would say online will probably be the biggest influence that you will see of rescuing. That's usually their number one marketing tool is the internet, and those folks that you meet, throughout the years, you always kind of, just like with folks that you grown and work with, that you create a relationship with, you hold on to those friendships because a lot of those are genuine. So I would definitely say in terms of for the rescuing community, it's super huge and it's so many. I mean, it's so many organizations out here that are rescuing and that are providing resources for rescues and providing resources for research on rescues. I mean, it's it's too many to count, you know. So that's the one good thing. It's just really about probably your area where you choose to rescue, you know. I started in Iowa. Well, I really started here in Chicago, but it really took off officially in Iowa. So I have a huge network out there. My older brother still is out there, so my biggest network will probably be in Iowa and then here in Chicago. And then I also have a network in Wisconsin as well. My youngest puppy came from there.
Okay, awesome, cool. So I'll also ask you a quick question in regards to rescuing. Let's say there's someone who's like never been a dog owner like yourself in the past, and
Hmm.
they're like they have a serious interest in rescuing a dog. How can someone get that process started?
Of rescuing a dog
Yeah,
or
rescuing a dog. Yeah.
receiving. And when you say rescue, I'm just gonna sorry to ask you, but when you say rescue, do you mean that rescuing them themselves or getting the dog from a rescue?
Can you explain both?
Sure. So the term rescue is, you know, and you can pretty much throw that term around. A rescue dog is just a dog that's been taken out of a bad situation, you know. So you can, you know, be driving down the street and see a dog just wandering down the street, you know, and rescue that dog, you know. You can go to a shelter and adopt a rescue dog. So I mean, that's usually the two ways. Either you find a dog or you get the rescue from a rescue shelter. I usually it's been a mix of both for me. In the beginning, I mean, I haven't paid for any of my dogs because obviously I rescue them and I've kept a foster as well. But a lot of folks, you know, they normally will go to a rescue or you know some people know personal breeders as well. You know, me personally, I don't have a problem with breeders or and all of that, just because being somebody who rescues, my issue isn't necessarily, you know, the breeders, you know, those people that pay thousands of dollars for dogs and stuff like that. Because even with rescues, a lot of people don't end up can't keep the dog. So for me, it's not about where you get the dog from; it's that you keep the dog. You know, that's my only concern. You know, if you're gonna adopt an animal, you know, you have to, you know, my concern is that you see it through. So that's why I'm all about education, because the more you can make the owner happy and ease their mind, the more willing they're gonna be to, you know, continue to raise a dog, you know. So you can either, you know, find a dog off the street and rescue it that way or get it from an organization, you know, or you can get it from a private breeder, you know. Not a big fan of puppy mills, but like I said, you know, I can't me personally, I can't really judge just because, you know, humanity has really, you know, modified, you know, the dog species over a long time. So we've always kind of meddled in that biology, you know, biologically. So my only biggest concern with rescue is that it doesn't matter where you get the dog from as long as you keep
Okay, awesome.
it.
So good
Yeah,
advice. Good
so there's
advice.
many different places you can get one. And then I also as well, I still, you know, I probably get a call maybe twice a week about you know, rescues and fosters. So if anybody's in the Chicagoland area, you know, Wisconsin and Iowa as well, I'll make the trip. You know, if they're looking for, you know, a foster or a rescue, they can also message me as well, and I can, you know, connect them with the right people as well too.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome.
Mhm.
Great advice. Great networking shout out.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So yeah, we're almost at an hour. So I'll ask a question that I ask, all the guests on the show.
Sure.
So the one question I always ask is, of course, you got your own business now. So what would you say to someone who was in your shoes, back in the day, that, let's say, like, they got a genuine interest in starting, their own business in
Hmm.
like dog food, like healthy raw dog food. So like, what advice would you give to that person just starting out to help them succeed?
Yeah. Well, what I would do would probably say for number one is only do it if you love it. You know, if you're gonna make a business out of it, you're not gonna make any money in the beginning. So, you know, I tell people if it's a hobby, try to see if you can make an income off of it. You know, you're probably going to be doing it day to day anyways, and that's kind of the mentality I took with this. You know, whether I'm making money or not, every day I've been doing a raw diet for my dogs every day. So no matter what, I'm always researching, looking for new, meals and new recipes, and I'm gonna be doing this as long as I own dogs, no matter what. So make sure it's something that you enjoy doing on a day in and day out basis. My next one would be is find a team. I think that was probably my biggest flaw beginning, trying to do as much as I can by myself, and that's all fine and dandy. Do as much as you can, as you can yourself, but also you want to find a team because everybody has shortcomings and everybody has good things, things that they're good at, they do well. So find a couple people that you can trust. You may not make any money in the beginning, but if you can find somebody that can help you out in any way, even if it's in terms of finding the right documents you need to file stuff. I mean, anything to cut down time and effort and to kind of make things more manageable, I would say do it. So my two biggest things would be make sure you do something you love, and secondly, make sure you get a good team behind you.
Awesome, awesome. Great advice, great advice. So yeah, before we wrap up, I want to thank you again for taking time out of your day, out of your busy schedule to join us tonight to share your story, knowledge, wisdom with everyone. It's really appreciated.
Oh man, no problem. I appreciate the invitation, man. Like I said, you giving me an opportunity to get in front of the camera for the first time. Folks see my YouTube videos and stuff. They see, yeah, I don't get in front of the camera. So this is we're gonna use this interview as a changing changing of the guard here. We're gonna switch up the tactics. So as soon as you guys see this video, I've already have two more videos recorded. So we'll be getting those out for folks. Getting a good summer recipe going. Gonna have a new photo shoot with the dogs coming up, so we'll have some more updated photos. We have one more new client dog that I'm gonna help, and we're actually gonna start having I'm gonna start having like raffles where people can win free diets for a year, stuff like that. So we're just trying to get as many people, just educated on the benefits of feeding your dogs raw and stuff like that. So we got a couple things coming that I think our fans will like.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting. That's awesome, and me and myself and everyone else in the network will definitely look forward to seeing your progress. That's awesome,
I
cool.
appreciate it, man. Definitely, definitely.
So for everyone watching the video now or later, I'm gonna put all of Ryan and Lineage Premier's contact info. So we got the Facebook, the IG, Instagram, the
Yeah.
website, and then I'm gonna put your YouTube page as well.
Yes, sir. And you can also, like I said, if you go to our website, there's links to all those as well.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna give the audience, I'm gonna give you guys all that information. And if anyone watching this, if you are in the Chicagoland area, Iowa, Wisconsin, you
Yes, sir.
definitely hit up Ryan for sure. If you, of course, if you
Definitely.
got dogs, and yeah.
Of course, yeah. Or if you just, like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, you want to curse me out, that's fine too.
Mhm.
I enjoy the interaction.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you again, Ryan, for joining us, and everyone that tuned in tonight. We appreciate you. And if you guys are gonna watch the restream, please feel free to leave any comments or questions for Ryan, and I'll make sure I forward those questions to him. And you guys can, I'll help facilitate, linking up you guys between the audience and Ryan. I hope you guys help with that. So until next time, guys, we'll see you again, and have a good night, everyone.
Have a good one, bro.